I still remember it was a few years ago in the summer. That day, Ah Wen picked up a torn map from somewhere. This kid was overjoyed. He thought someone's ancestral treasure map was lost. So the next day, he called a few of his buddies. We went up the mountain together to search for treasures. We decided to search separately. If anyone found something good, we would notify each other. But just as I was focused on searching, this kid suddenly, quietly approached me, and whispered in my ear that he had just found a treasure. I was so shocked I almost burst out laughing. I quickly asked him to lead me to where he found it. At that time, I even thought about keeping this treasure between the two of us. But little did I know, this kid had ulterior motives. He directed me to dig up a loose patch of soil. I suddenly felt a strange sensation in my hand. At first, I thought it was just mud and didn't pay much attention to it. But the more I touched it, the more it felt off. Why is this sticky thing emitting heat? So I took it and sniffed it again. Goodness. That smell almost made me pass out on the spot. When I finally realized what was happening. But that guy had already disappeared without a trace. I let out a sorrowful and angry howl to the sky. I swore to avenge this. So I called Ah Wen that afternoon. The two of us worked together in a daze. We dug a big hole on the way back home, waiting for revenge. After finishing everything, I gently covered it with some flowers and grass again. Then I prepared to go home and wait quietly. But before I could get home, there was movement at the location of the trap. A loud tenor voice echoed in the sky above our village. My first thought was my father, because besides him, there was no one else in the village with such a loud voice. I immediately ran home as if I had lost my soul. Lying on the bed, covered with a blanket as if nothing had happened, waited nervously for half the night. Dad finally came back. The moment he entered the house, I caught a glimpse of him, still holding onto the big D. No need to guess. I also knew it was the stone I placed in the pit that had pierced him. I saw him, with a twisted expression, moving step by step into the house. Scared stiff, didn't dare to take a breath. Waited until early the next day. The sky was misty with light rain. Dad, feeling a bit better, was about to take a shovel and go up the mountain. He said he was going to fill up that pit. Otherwise, someone else might suffer. This was originally a good thing. But somehow, I felt like Dad was heading to the execution ground. When we arrived at the location, Dad picked up the shovel and started filling the pit. He didn't even notice there was still a person lying inside. It was the village secretary who walked the night road last night. Due to the darkness, he couldn't see clearly. Walking, he disappeared on the horizon. At that time, Dad was filling the soil. The village head below was startled by Dad's movements. He looked around in confusion. He realized that half of his body was already buried. He suddenly screamed out loud. Dad was startled by this sudden scream. He was so scared he almost wet his pants. He cautiously peered towards the entrance. Their eyes met. In an instant, a murder case. Thunder struck in the village head's mind. An instinctive reaction made him shout again. Dad panicked at this situation. If misunderstood, it would be hard to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. So he hurried to calm the village head down. But the village head was not listening. He continued to cry out for help. In no time, nearby villagers working in the fields were attracted. At that time, Dad was trying to calm down the village chief. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a pair of figures in the distance. They came charging over mightily. Now, my dad couldn't stand his ground anymore. In a moment of desperation, Dad made a rash decision. He grabbed 2 shovels and started to bury the village chief in the mud, planning to dig him out quietly after everyone left. But soon everyone arrived at the scene. Dad quickly pointed in another direction. Over there. Everyone was shocked. But just as everyone was about to say goodbye, suddenly, from the pit, a muddy monster suddenly climbed out. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Oh my goodness. What on earth is this? Then everyone's gaze swiftly turned to my dad. Dad saw that the game was up. How about we go back and have a drink together? But the two of them clearly ignored this suggestion. After exchanging glances, they picked up their tools and headed towards their father. That day, Dad's tenor voice reached a new level.